do some pretty decorative envelopes for Thanksgiving. I thought it would be fun to make some envelopes that maybe you could send invitations out to your family, or party invitations, or just inviting friends over for Thanksgiving, or just to send seasonal greeting cards. So today I'm using the Gracie Ellie Design Bountiful Season or Bountiful Blessing, one of those titles, Bountiful Blessing, Bountiful Seasons. It's a digital stamp set, and I'm using my Tombow dual brush markers today, and I've printed out several of her digital images using the pumpkin and the give thanks sentiment. It comes with several sentiments to choose from, and basically what I did was print it out onto a 5x7 sized envelope using my Microsoft Word. And we're going to color this to look like this. See if you can see that. Oh, maybe not so much with my lighting. I don't have such great lighting. Okay. Anyway, there we go. So what you need to do is have some clear gesso, because once we color, we want this to not bleed should your mail get wet. So we're going to seal this. You could prime your envelope, but that would also make your envelope warp if you're just using a plain old flimsy envelope like I'm using today. I'm not using anything real sturdy. So have some clear gesso on hand. Have your coloring markers that are, I'm using water-based color markers. And let's get started. So to begin, I'm going to start coloring the pumpkin. And I'm just going to kind of draw out some lines here and leave a little bit of space. Let me zoom in a little bit. Sorry. Alright. And it's always helpful to leave a little bit of white space. You can fill in later or leave it blank. Then I'm going to go around and do the edges and color in a little bit darker. Still leaving some of that white space in the middle. But go ahead and fill in this color here dark. Also along the bottom edge, we're going to go ahead and fill that in dark as well. Give a little depth. And I'm going to grab another Tombow marker that's just a little bit of a lighter color. This is number 873. This one has long since worn off. I have no idea, but it's a darker orange. And we'll fill in a little bit with just this light color. Okay. And I may just even go ahead and where there's some of these darker lines, go ahead and color the darker lines. Just like that. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to very carefully, I don't think I mentioned this, but you want to get a little water brush, and very carefully I'm going to dilute some of that color. I don't want to oversaturate my paper, so I'm going to be very careful here and just use a little bit of water with a water brush. And I'm just going to tap out a little bit on my craft mat over here and make sure there's not overly wet, and just blot a little bit just to dilute that color a little bit. Okay. Also, and I meant to do this beforehand, but if you will take a heavy piece of cardstock and stick this in here, this will help prevent your coloring from bleeding through. Sorry about that, I meant to do that earlier. Let's see. Alright, now let's take a yellow, and we're going to just color the center of these blooms right here and along in the inner edges of these petals. you want to make sure before you even begin coloring that you have taken a craft heat tool and dried your printed inky paper envelope so that the colors don't bleed. Alright, I'm going to leave the outer edges of this little blossom white. Next I'm going to take this olive green Tombow marker and color the leaves very quickly. And also take the, let's see, there's one right there. I'm going to take the brown marker here. And once again, I don't have the numbers on here. These are pretty worn off. And just color the stem. Okay. And I'm going to dilute a little color on the leaves. Just tap in the little slightly damp water brush and blot with a paper towel. And that lightens up your color a little bit. And let's do that on the little stem as well. Okay. Alright, I think that looks good. Let's go ahead and heat dry this before we seal it with a gesso. And I'll pause the video for just 1 second so you don't have to listen to the roaring of my heat tool. Okay, now I'm going to apply the clear gesso and just put a little dab on my craft mat out to the side here and get a paintbrush and just go ahead and paint over the pumpkin. And I've still got my piece of cardstock inside so that it won't leak through. Just go ahead and start painting over your colored image. And this will seal in the colors and protect them in the mail. It gives it a little bit of shine too. There we go. And then you'll want to dry it one more time. Sorry about that. Can you see? I'll dry it later, but that's some of my decorative envelopes. I plan on finishing up some more. And thanks for stopping by. This is Terry from Waving My Wand.